Hi everyone, and welcome to part 3 of our series on my Jewish library. We've talked about Talmud, codes of Jewish law, including Maimonides' code. I'm mentioning these because this is going to be our focus today. We're going to take a look today at Talmud, in particular a page of Talmud and how the Talmud is sort of put together in a volume. And it's important to keep in mind that we're also going to be referencing codes of Jewish law like the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch and Maimonides' code are going to get mentioned as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit down and take a look at a page of Talmud and see what we can learn. Thanks. Allow me to add at this time that it turns out that the material will be too long for me to go through everything I just promised you, but we're going to take a look at a volume of Talmud now and sort of how it's made up and what it consists of. And then tomorrow we'll start to talk about how it references the various codes of Jewish law that I mentioned before, the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch. We'll get into that tomorrow. We're going to be starting today with a volume of Talmud known as the Tractate of Brachot, otherwise known as Blessings. We're going to use that as our sample volume today. So I'm going to take this off the shelf. And you can see it's a pretty thick and heavy volume. We're going to see that the Talmud itself only comprises a minority of this volume, and that there's a great deal of other things going on, which we're going to be introduced to. So we're going to head over to the table now with our volume of Tractate Brachot and see what's inside. Welcome to our Talmud table. We're going to open our volume of Talmud now. Again, as we mentioned before, this is the Talmud Bavli, the Babylonian Talmud. This is the first volume, the Tractate of Brachot, which deals with blessings. And as we open the volume, we see that you do not get right away to the first page. There's quite a bit of stuff before that. Let me explain what they are. This is known as the Shar, the gate. It's just a fanciful introductory page, and down here at the bottom of the gate you'll always see the name of the printer, in this case Gurari, which is a Lubavitch printer who print a beautiful Talmud. Here's an introductory page, and it tells you that this is the Tractate of Brachot from the Babylonian Talmud, with the commentaries of Rashi, Tosfos, and other commentaries, some of which we'll take a look at. Every volume, every printer who puts something out adds a lot of stuff in the back so they can say, and these are the additions. These are all new things that are in this particular printing of the Talmud. At the risk of calling anything minor, they are relatively minor, historically minor commentaries, but we'll skip this introduction here. Now we're at the first page of Talmud. Now, if you can't see the page of Talmud clearly, that's okay. You're going to have a guide by the side soon, where you'll be able to see the page very, very clearly as I talk. But for now, I just want to call your attention to this layout here and let you know that not everything you see here is the Talmud. First of all, the Talmud consists of two parts, Mishnah and Gemara. Mishnah and Gemara are in this center section here in the classic print. Again, you should already have it side by side. You should be able to see this a little bit more in detail. But this center section here on each page is Mishnah and Gemara. Mishnah and Gemara is in the center section. Now, there are two classical commentators that flank the text of the Mishnah and the Gemara. And they are on the inside margin always. The commentary of Rashi, Rav Shlomo Yitzchaki, 11th century, and probably the most famous of all commentators. You can see his commentary on the Bible as well. It should be familiar. It's printed in pretty much every classical Chumash as well. And on the outside margin here, you have the commentary of Tosafos. Tosafos were generally, the easiest way to say it, are descendants of Rashi, grandsons of Rashi and their children and descendants. And their comment is of a different nature than Rashi. Rashi's comment is always attempting to tell you what's going on the page, and Tosfot is taking a more comparative approach. It says over here in the tractate, it says, one thing, but I can go look at another tractate and see something that seems to contradict that, and then let's resolve the contradiction. Or Rashi explained things a certain way. We don't think that Rashi's explanation is full enough. We'd like to change, present a different explanation. These are the types of things that Tosfos does. Now we're going to look in greater detail at things on the page, but for the moment I want to explain to you what's in this giant book. Okay. The text of the Gemara itself, as I mentioned, is on the inside. You have the commentaries of Rashi and Tosfos. Around the edges you have some other commentaries which we're not going to delve into this second. But I do want to point out to you that the tractate of Brachot ends here. So it's, if you will, this thick. Everything else in this volume that's Talmud related, because there are some things in here that are not Talmud related, but everything else that's Talmud related that you would sort of find in any volume of Talmud would go to here. So you can see that the relative size of the Talmud text itself, as opposed to everything else that's going on, if you factor in that the Talmud itself is only this middle section, so it's not even occupying in some cases half the space of the page, and the fact that it only goes until right about here, compared with everything else that you see in a volume. So when you see a whole volume of Talmud, you're not seeing 1,000 pages of Talmud. In this case, you're only seeing about, if I remember correctly, 65 or so pages of Talmud. Let me just look it up. And 64 pages of Talmud, and the rest of it is other material. That other material are various commentators, like the Rabbeinu Asher. The Rabbeinu Asher made a commentary on the halachic material, the Jewish law material in the Talmud. This later became the basis of one of the codes of Jewish law that we talked about previously, namely the Torah. The Rabbeinu Asher is a forerunner of the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch. You also have, on the non-legal material, you have the commentary of the Maharsha, which is in here somewhere. Here we go. Here's the commentary of the Maharsha. If you can't see the letters, that's because they're really, really tiny. But that's the commentary of the Maharsha. And then we have another important commentary coming up here in the Rabbeinu Yonah, which looks like the Talmud, but what the Rabbeinu Yonah did is he edited out all of the narrative, all of the non-legal material, and presented only the legal material and commentary on it. Rashi's commentary, and then his own commentary on it as well.
Actually, it was the Rif who edited the material.
Which is a accompaniment to the Mishnah and ultimately to the Talmud, and which gets quoted heavily in the Talmud, but the original text of the Tosefta is back here. So when you look at a volume of Talmud and you see all of this, really, if you're talking about the Talmud and just its primary commentators, you'd be looking at this. And obviously, if you take away the primary commentators and you only deal with the text of the Talmud itself, then you're going to have even less material. All of that small amount, so to speak, of material gets commented on by Rashi, by Tosfos, by many others, and eventually becomes the very basis, the foundation of Jewish law, of halakha. Now, we're going to stop here for today. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how the Talmud functions as a conduit for all of Jewish law. How all of Jewish law, previous to the Talmud, like in the Bible, is found in the Talmud, and how the Talmud becomes the basis for everything that follows, pretty much everything that follows in Jewish law and otherwise. And we're going to take a look in particular at how the way the Talmud is printed helps us through that conduit. There are various reference tools here which will help us navigate the great sea, not only of Talmud, but of Jewish learning. You can navigate that straight from the page of Talmud because everything is cross-referenced. But that'll have to wait till tomorrow. Thank you for being with us today. Have a beautiful day.